Hello, everyone. It is Liz from Capricos Books. I see that there are people joining us, so we are going to go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to add Brad here in just a second. Here we go. There we go. Hey, Brad.
Hey, guys. How you doing? Hey, Adam, Kendra, Lisa. You might hear me upstairs.
I was gonna say, is she just upstairs? And yeah, so I wanted to, since we were already getting comments, I figured we'd go ahead and kick this off, right on time, basically. So hello and welcome. I'm looking at our comments.
It's wild to me that we were doing these Drinking with Authors events nearly 7 months ago.
That's true. But I don't remember. You mentioned that being the first one, but I feel like we did it for a good while. And I can't remember the last one, but it even feels like it hasn't been that long since the last one. I want to say that was probably June, because I was thinking summer break. And now I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to do so much in the fall. We're going to kick all of it. But no.
No, it was 8 weeks straight. So that would have taken us into mid-May. And then we just stopped. That was it.
Yeah. Because we again, I knew summer was coming up and everything. I think at that point,
hey, John.
I needed a little break, a COVID break, because I was Zooming and we were doing this every week, among many other Zooms that we were all doing. And I've gotten a break from that, so I'm ready to get back to it. Again, for everybody who Brad has brought here who doesn't know me, I'm Liz. I own Capricos Books. We were a brick and mortar up until the end of August, and then we decided to move everything into our garage. So this past month I've been doing that. That's what's behind me. It's not quite finished yet, but one day I'll give you a tour. But you can find Brad's books at our website, www.capricosbooks, because he signs things. Hello. Yay, Laura. Laura,
hey,
actually, yeah. So I will say that my family, we also moved to the Eastern Shore. So yeah, I'm near Laura now. I can't wait to meet her. She has been I can't think of the word. A regular follower ever since, I'm pretty sure it's Brad that introduced us, from our first Drinking with Authors. She's been here since the beginning. So I love a loyal follower, loyal listener. I like to call my followers neighbors. Because I'm influenced, because Lady Gaga has a saying for her, she calls everybody little monsters, and everybody has a thing for their followers. So I decided to take after Mr. Rogers, and everybody who is a Capricos fan is my neighbor. So when I say that, I'm talking to everybody in my community of bookstore lovers. So I don't literally mean my neighborhood. I mean my neighbors. So, Lisa, thanks.
Wanted to say two things. For those who already got the book, I'd like to just thank you for already kind of getting a head start on that. I'm still waiting on the Kindle version, which is why I haven't fully announced it yet. That's kind of where it's in the wings at this point. But also, Adam, I'm pulling for you for this drawing. I know a little bit more of, I guess, the backstory there. So your name's in the hat. So when we get there, I'm pulling for everybody. But yeah, since you're here, I'm pulling for you.
There we go. So yeah, Brad and I met over 2 years ago.
We were doing some 5 stars transactions, and actually the company, not that anybody's here to hear about 5 stars, but they just got $52 million invested into them for their payment processing. So you were kind of on the front end of them, almost beta testing it, honestly.
It's interesting because I feel like they had so many new things right at the beginning, and then they stopped adding anything new. There was nothing exciting happening, and I'm it needed to be refreshed. So I'm glad to hear they've got investments and that they're working on it. But yeah, that's how we met. And you were like, oh, hey, by the way, you were so modest about it, and you're like, yeah, I wrote some books. So it was a really great because.
When I met you, it was almost like the excitement and everything had already kind of started to fall off, because it was the first book was 2015, then it was early 2017, April, and then by the time I met you, it was I guess it was August of 2018.
Yep, September, because we opened August 18th. Yeah, so okay. September 2018. That's right.
Yeah.
Lots of great comments. We'll get back to this.
Yes, Children of the Program, the musical. Actually, Kendra, that's not necessarily something that hasn't been discussed. There was a where I currently work at Hartford Community College, there was a director that came in and he saw my book sitting on my desk. And I said, hey, man, you should read this and we should do something with it. And he took the book. So who knows? Maybe it will actually happen.
Well, and you have an album that accompanies it, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of music that goes with it. There was a self-titled EP under my name, and then there was the We Love the Underground album, Children of the Program.
Exactly. So, and it's interesting because when I started reading Children of the Program, for anyone who doesn't know, I feel like everybody does, but this is the first book in the series. It's interesting because this is how I knew you from 5 stars in marketing, and then this. And I knew you as music very like kind of in the back of my mind because I hadn't experienced that. But almost everybody I met who knows you, because again, we found this weird web of like connections. Almost everybody else who knows you in your life seems to know you from your music most number one. Yeah. But as I was reading it, I'm like, yeah, you can definitely see these are lyrics. You wrote it in lyrics.
Yeah, so like the first book, I always make the joke that it's like 90,000, like a 90,000 word song.
It's so much metaphor, and I mean, I really love it. It's really beautifully written. So much great visual imagery.
Yeah.
All that. So. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm trying to read all the comments too because they go fast. So, Brad said he couldn't see them last time, so I was going to read them.
I can see him.
He's just going now. He's just taken away.
Well, so here's the thing. So with the Skittles, with the Schizo Calypso shows, like it started becoming this thing. Well, okay. So in the early days, you could actually smoke in the venues. So like when I'd be up on stage, I'd be like, I need a cigarette, and people would start throwing cigarettes or like even their like pack of cigarettes. And then obviously you couldn't do that. And because Schizo and Skittles kind of sounds a little bit the same, it became Skittles. And I love Skittles. So people started like showing up to shows and throwing bags of Skittles. Adam's referring to this. He brought me this like jumbo bag of like dark side Skittles. I probably even still have some of them because there's no way I could have gotten through all of them already. And that was like years ago. It was a huge bag. But anyway, that's what he's referring to.
That's perfect. Oh my gosh, the 2000s. I know.
Yep. So good times there for sure.
Right. So this is the first one, and I have the second one, but we don't have the third one yet because I know that those are still on their way.
Actually, some people do somehow. I don't know how that happened, but they have them.
It's snuck out, but they're not signed, I don't think.
They're not.
So we'll have signed copies. And these are signed and dated. So I do have signed copies here ready to send out. As soon as I can get around to that. I need to start shipping things soon. But Brad and I are going to work on children. I said that they'd be ready, I think, the end of November because I wanted to give some shipping time and things like that. So I know shipping has been just an issue because of the post office and all that. So
yeah, COVID's kind of tying things up. So you will get your books. We do have your orders, and I apologize for any delay on that.
I do as well. I think everybody's pretty patient, and just reread the first 2. Take the time to reread the first 2, if you haven't already, and then you'll be ready for the third. So tell us more.
Kenny, you have both of them, right? I see you over there.
I'm pretty sure. I know I got an order for Kendra. So I'm pretty sure she just ordered the third, but I would have to look it up. But tell us a little more about writing the third book and like what it was like finishing a trilogy. How does it feel? I mean, is it just a trilogy or?
Well, I had a lot of those like self-doubt demons for a while after finishing the second book. A lot of that kind of like, does this matter? Who cares? Like, what's the point? It's the kind of stuff that you go through as an artist, just kind of like coming off like the high of doing something. It's just a natural thing. And I remember talking to you when I first met you and started talking to you about like Children of the Program after 5 stars and wanting to do it, but just feeling like I just didn't have like any drive to do it. And there was a lot of music happening too. So, as time kind of went on, we were doing those Drinking with Authors events. I started like kind of like getting inspired and excited, and I had all this free time, and the options were basically drink myself into oblivion or do something productive.
I'm going to take, I'll take a little bit of I don't know, I want to say blame slash credit, I guess. But I feel like the credit also goes back to you because we started doing those. You suggested, like, let's do a drinking with authors thing where we just get together on Friday nights and talk. That kind of like blew up really quickly. Like we ended up having, I think at one point, like 6 authors on, just chatting one weekend, one Friday night. So that was a great thing, and I feel like it seemed to really take off. I feel like for you there, you really like dug in and went quickly, and it was. I remember you talking about putting the board up and like rereading your own work and kind of mapping it all out again, and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so Lisa and I went for a walk one morning, and we were having our usual coffees, and just I was like, I don't even know where to start. So I guess the biggest hump that I had to get over was like reconciling the first 2 books. Like a lot of things were written and had happened, but like you do start forgetting. You may have like I wrote the books, but it's like I don't remember all the details. I'm like, oh man, is that guy still alive? Is the guy not? Whatever. So it was like, okay, I got to commit to like sitting down, reading these books, and like taking notes again, like just to get like a really clear picture of it. And so we figured like a dry erase board would be a really good way to like get all the details right there, big in front of my face. So instead of like having to like flip through the book, like, oh God, how old is this person? Or what's going on with this person? Where were they? Were they in this country, whatever? It's all right there. So we put up the dry erase board, and that was the beginning step. As soon as that was painted, and we started kind of like listing all the characters, and like I started like kind of spitballing ideas and putting notes up. It started growing. And I already kind of written like a couple chapters like right after I wrote the second book. So that was kind of the process. And then once I started like getting going with the writing, it was like I knew that if I even stopped for one day, I would start losing momentum. So I just basically committed to like an hour or 2 hours every single day, whether I had it in me or not, or whether I had the time or not. I still did it, and I committed to 1,000 to 1,250 words a day. And then after about 3 months, I'm not even sure it took 3 months, but about 3 months later, the book was done. And then, well, there's a lot more to it, but yeah.
But so my other, I have so many questions. I should write them down. Did you know from the beginning this was going to be a trilogy?
Yes. So that was the goal. It's just I didn't have like the I knew where I wanted it to end, but I didn't know how, like some of those linking pieces, like how are we going to get from here to here? So it was always intended to be a trilogy, but like this book really needed like more of a storyboard to flesh out how we were going to get from point A to point B. And I didn't want to, I didn't want to just kind of like rush it or make it kind of, I don't know. I wanted it to be something really special, not like, okay, we're just traveling again, or did this, that, or the other. So,
yeah. Someone asked, "Are you inspired by dreams?"
Yeah. So actually, one of the tracks is "This Hell" on the Children of the Program soundtrack was inspired by a dream. So yeah, but a lot of the story itself, especially the first book, it's autobiographical. It's taken from my own personal storyboard. And then kind of fused with the album themes and my upbringing. So that's where a lot of the ideas come from.
Kendra asked you to share some of your inspiration slash, I don't know, creative juices, so to speak, so she can be inspired. Do you have any tips to breaking out of an artist block?
Oh, yes, like literally, just do it. Like literally, just put your fingers on the keyboard and just go, or grab the paintbrush and just start going, because it's like something connects at some point, and then all of a sudden, like you find a vein and you're going right through it.
She said the first book gave her nightmares.
Well, yeah, well, it doesn't get much better. So, but the first book it's got a very dark theme. I mean, it's got a lot of cults and a lot of death and that kind of thing. So yeah,
which is, I don't know, that's just so interesting, because I feel like you're such a, from what I know of you, I mean, I guess that's not true based on your music and stuff like that, but I feel like you're such a positive person. Every time I know you, you always have something positive to say. Even when you're not positive, you say it in a pretty positive way, and you even like, I'm sorry, I'm totally gonna gush on you and Lisa's relationship. Like, I just love seeing all your cute posts, and you're not one of those like super sappy, like gross couples who are always like, I love you, babe. Everything ends in babe. You're just so
Or
honest.
they're selling it to themselves.
Yeah, right. So you're just so honest and clean and just, oh, you guys are so sweet. But anyways, just so it's funny. I think to me, I have a hard time reconciling thinking that these are dark books. Um, but I almost feel like this is you getting it out of your system so that you can be positive elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean the albums, like especially some of the earlier Schizo albums, are very dark, you know. But it's like I feel like it's art therapy. I mean, it got me from point A to point B. So I'm a lot more positive now because things have kind of worked out, and I've worked really hard to get to that point. And I've used things like writing songs or writing books to get there.
That's such a great way to express it as art therapy. Like that's such a perfect term. That's I can see that and I understand that. So I'm just trying. She said she had to pace herself with the second book, and she said Kendra said she's had this talk before.
We did, yeah, we did. So I guess one of the alluring parts of the book for Kendra was the fact that some of it takes place in New Mexico, and she's from New Mexico. So I was like, I remember seeing her at a show. I was like, well, you should check out this book. You know, it's kind of cool, and it's got a soundtrack with it. So there's the musical component. So if you hate the book, throw it in the trash and listen to the album, whatever. And so that's how that all kind of got going.
It still cracks me up how modest you are about it. You're like, yeah, well, I have a book, but but you really promote the music. I mean, you have done. It's funny because you've done a lot of shameless promotion about the book. All of your wonderful. Let's talk about the art a little bit. So, not just the covers, but I love all of your. I don't want to call them memes, but all of your promotional images that you've had created are just perfect, and I love that you're just sharing them nonstop. So it's beautiful. So, but talk about your cover design and the inspiration there and how much say you had in it versus, you know, just letting someone else design it kind of thing.
Well, I wanted it to be kind of like, I'll hold it up real quick. I wanted it to cover some of the themes in the book, but not to be like too literal or too obvious. So when you first see the book, yeah, you're seeing the girl with the feathers coming out of her hair, but unless you actually read like the first couple chapters, you're not going to know what the feathers represent. Or you're not necessarily going to know like, oh, she's got indigo eyes. Why does she have indigo eyes? You're just going to see a girl with. You may not even notice the eye color, to be honest. So I wanted something that was kind of like artistic, but also once you actually read the book, like, oh, now I get the cover. But actually, the cool thing about the first book cover is that girl doesn't actually appear until the second book. So I knew that the second book was coming. It was like as I was writing the first book, I realized there's so much I've got to get through to get to this point. So
I love that. That's almost a I don't know, a goalpost in a way. You're like, okay, I put her on the cover. Now I need to make the book two happen.
right,
It's a way of not making an excuse. Like I need to keep going.
right. And so Samantha was the model for the first one, but I thought it was good, but I felt like it was too real. It didn't have enough of a fantasy aspect to it. And so I had this guy, David Weston Gregory, go back and kind of redraw the first cover. So there's actually two covers. Some have the original. And then and he ended up being the guy for all the other books as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I didn't remember if you said he wrote the third or designed the first cover or third cover or not. Well, do you want to tell us about any of the symbols in the second or third covers?
Yeah, so with the newest book, if you look at the cover, it may just look like a swarm of birds or something like that, but that's actually like a double helix strand of DNA, and that should be enough of a hint of where it may be going. I don't want to give anything away. And the second book, it deals with Hopi prophecy and that kind of thing. So again, the feathers are back. You know, kind of keep that theme. And there's a little blue star up in the upper left-hand corner, which represents one of the characters. So that's kind of where the impetus for kind of like the book covers comes from.
So I'm sorry, I totally missed his name. I think he said his name was John earlier.
Yeah, it's John Satana.
Okay, yeah, he asked if you addressed any controversial topics in the third book, such as rape or cannibalism.
There's no rape or cannibalism in the third book, unfortunately. For if you were hoping that would be there.
Just the third one.
What's that?
Is it any of the books or just the third one?
Just the third one.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean the first book actually does have so there's a rape situation. We'll put it that way. Yeah.
Fair enough. But at
No
least
cannibalism.
the first one. No cannibalism though. Sorry, my dog's going a little bit crazy. In the corner there. So yeah, I like all three covers. Kendra says she likes the cover of the third book. It's funny because I guess I've seen the picture tons of times because I've shared it a lot, and I've done a lot of graphics for events that we're doing, and I missed the double helix. I didn't even pay attention to the red and white. Like I did see the bird, and until I've never really, I guess, put all three next to each other. Even though I did the other graphics, I didn't think about it so much. I was just focusing on getting done. But if anybody has not ordered their book, I will say you can use code 11:11. So for 11:11, because Brad and I, that's like it's in the book, right? You have said that it's in the book.
There's a chapter called 11:11.
Okay, and we've talked about it before. I know it's a thing with you, so I love it. So until November 11th, that code will get you 11% off. I know it's a weird number, but I love numerology in general, so I thought I just love codes like that, so I thought it was really fun, and I appreciate that Brad is like one of the other people in my lives who like that so much. So and I've known other people who that's a special thing for. So
I wanted to actually kind of piggyback on something John had said, and then something Kendra had said about like having nightmares, and then some of the things I experienced. We talked about this kind of briefly during the Drinking with Authors, but as I was developing some of the characters, I did start dreaming about those characters, and I did start having nightmares about the antagonist. So much so that I almost didn't want to continue writing the book, because it was like this thing that I was creating was becoming almost too real. And it was kind of, uncomfortable. It was like, really kind of reaching down and finding kind of a darker side of myself to write that character, the way it needed to be written. So yes, there were definitely nightmares and definitely feelings. I'd be like out for a jog, and I'd start thinking about a character and just like get this like kind of sinking feeling in my stomach, like, damn, so that's what happened.
It's such a good way. And I feel like, it's interesting because I'm not necessarily a musically inclined person. But I feel that way when I hear a song. I understand that that's the artist kind of getting it out. And I see that for you with just music and your writing. Like if you've got that in a character, it's a character, it's not part of you. So again, it goes back to you being positive, because your character, your anger, sadness, whatever you want to say, is that character. So it's interesting, of course, to think that those characters also influence us and how we feel. So again, you talking about jogging, and you start to feel anger or sadness. Sorry, the dog wants to join us apparently.
I'll give another little piece of advice as far as kind of tackling writer's block, which is another thing that Kendra brought up. One of the things that I've done in the past is, and I gave this piece of advice to this guy, Edgar Nazario, is to create an alter ego. So I created an alter ego named Nikki Thunders. That was a whole pop album I did. Kind of like, I hate to use the comparison, but what's his name? The country artist.
Brooks.
Yeah, he had Chris Gaines, right? So I had this Nikki Thunders character, but when I did that, I was able to like write in a way that it was like it wasn't me anymore. So I kind of got to tap into some like different places, and the cool thing is it can really open like tons of different doors for you, like total a lot of different things can come through. So that may just be one way to go with it. Who's Meredith? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's funny because when she says that, it makes me think of the Office character Meredith, who's just like a crazy like side drunk person.
Adam's got a question real quick here.
That was kind of like, Adam's got two questions.
Okay, go ahead.
He said, make a wish.
11:11.
11:11. I know. I've heard that before. And it's funny because I had not heard that until I would probably say 27. So I was like, what are you talking about? So I have heard that before, and that's exactly why I appreciate it. And then his question is, what's next after? I was kind of saving that towards the end, but what's next after this book? I'll let you say it, and then I'll ask you a little bit follow up.
Okay, so the third book doesn't end as much of a as well. It can end there, yes, but it could keep going. So the trilogy may end up turning into a series, or there could be like a spin-off. What I was kind of thinking was I wanted to do the 3 books, like full-on novels. But what I'm thinking about doing is maybe doing like maybe a novel that's half the size, like a novella or something like that, where I just I keep the storyboard going, but not necessarily is in long form. Like, so people don't have to wait another 2 years for the next book, kind of thing. I feel like in this day and age, like people want content, they want to keep following the series, and you want to make sure you're keeping them engaged and interested. So there may be a 4th book, but it may be shorter. I also now own the trademark to Children of the Program.
Yay!
I've actually considered licensing the actual story, so other authors who may want to write but don't necessarily have like an idea, like per se, or they want to further the story, I've considered licensing it out. Kind of like see with like Batman or something like that, like different takes on it, or maybe like somebody writes a book from this person's perspective because they have an inspiration from reading it. But it could go anywhere, honestly.
I'm gonna totally admit that while I've been painting the rooms in my house, I have been binging Twilight, and I'm sorry to make you any connection with Twilight, but I'm just thinking
How dare you?
A series. Well, I'm just thinking of a series that has a lot of characters who you only touch so little bit on all of the on so many of their backstories. And I'm just thinking of like how I don't read a lot of fan fiction, but I know that that's a huge thing. And I was thinking today about how I'd really love to learn more about all these other characters' backstories and how they got to be where they are. And I can totally, hearing what you're saying, I can completely imagine you doing that for these, either you yourself or again, letting people write fan fiction. So the people who appreciate your stories asking them, like, I can totally see you leading a workshop where you just like, okay, well, tell me what you think where this character came from, or what would this character do in this situation. So I can completely see that for you. And letting people write fan fiction and writing backstories and exploring a lot more of the characters that you have in, not necessarily backstories, but like different situations outside of what you've written. So right. That's something that I think I personally want to read more of, is spin-offs, so to speak. And I can totally see you doing that, or again, having someone else write that, or partnering with other people. And kind of, I really like that you're saying that you'd be interested in giving this to other people and letting them use this as kind of a foundation for them taking off. So that's really great to hear. I like that.
There's also the idea that we were kind of brainstorming, and I say we, Lisa and I were talking about possibly having like a either a monthly or maybe a quarterly newsletter that would be maybe like 2 or 3 chapters, additional chapters that people can continue following the story, almost like a comic book in a sense, but like a literary comic book, something that you could also add like interviews with other authors, like just to keep it going,
Yeah.
Kind of change the format a little bit, something that people could look forward to, like, oh, the next 3 chapters are coming, instead of like waiting for 50 chapters to be released.
Yeah, John said he'd love to contribute, but he has to finish the series first.
Sounds good.
Kendra said her son wanted to, I'm guessing she's talking about Twilight, wanted to watch that. But I was thinking too of like, again, talking about fan fiction, I will just say, like, it's weird to think that 50 Shades of Grey was fan fiction for Twilight. Like, they don't seem related at all. Like, I still don't exactly see the connection. They seem very unrelated, but with very basic bone similarities. So that's why, again, I would just love to see what people came up with after reading and being inspired by your work. And whether they listen to I mean, I love the idea of a newsletter and having other people write short stories and having seeing where people go with not just your characters but what they're inspired to write because of the legends that you talk about, the because I know you talked about like the Hopi legends and Hopi laws and things like that in the second one.
Well, there's a lot of intertwining in all three of the books of like reality and fantasy. So
Yeah.
there's actual characters that their names are just a slightly off like a real person's name. That if you had, like looked into it, you'd be like, oh well, is this person this person? Is this who he's really talking about? So they can almost conflate reality and fantasy. That was the idea. So you know, it could really go anywhere. But sorry.
No, it's okay. So, and I called this, I called this whole, this video, I just said, what is Children of the Program? Because I laughed because I realized I always just kind of kept it in the local section because I really wasn't sure where I wanted to put it when I was putting it in the bookstore for people to find. So I just kind of kept it local. But you and I discussed earlier, like, where do we put it? You know, it doesn't quite feel like it fits in science fiction, not quite fantasy.
Right.
You know, there's just so many things. So I love that you called it occult fiction is what you called it. So and you had another name for it, I think you said. What was the other one?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, what was the other one?
I think it was well, cult fiction was one that I landed on, and then supernatural thriller.
Yeah.
There's so many elements. It really doesn't become, like as we were talking offline, it doesn't become science fiction until really literally the end of the third book. When you get to the very last chapter of the third book, the entire series goes completely on its head. Like, holy shit. So yeah.
It's funny because I am admittedly a huge Stephen King fan, and the somebody put a list of like the top 50 fantasy books published ever. And I was really surprised not to find him on there at all. But I realized because nobody ever considers any of his work fantasy at all. They just know him as horror or thriller. But he has some stuff that is very fantasy. His Dark Tower series is a whole series, very, very fantasy, very heavy in creating this other world and all that. So genres are such a fun thing. So I love, I'm learning more and more about different, I guess, subgenres and how different things can get. There's another one. Actually, we talked about this too, being memoir. Like, I'm like, well, this doesn't belong in memoirs because nobody would really know how much of it. It's not necessarily, I guess, a direct memoir so much as it is influenced by your life.
Yeah, so there's definitely autobiographical things. I always tell people, like, when you read the first book, like, you're probably going to learn more about me than you ever wanted to know. And it's written in such a way that it's like, it could only be me. You know, it's like people actually ask me, like, is this character based on you? I'm like, yeah. I mean, half the chapters are in first person. I would hope that you would have deduced that. But I think that the thing I want to do next, though, really is go back through the first two books, really clean them up, and then release all three as just like, you know, like Stephen King's The Stand kind of thing, like all in one kind of a book. And then I think mentally I'll be able to go, okay, we're going to do the next thing now.
Oh, I bet it'd be beautiful.
Looks like John's asking if he can publish his or promote my Amazon published book. I'm sure. I mean, yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Actually, they're through Amazon. And then you know, the print on demand, and then I give them to Liz. So I didn't know you had a book, John, but yeah,
email
to talk to her.
My email's on the website. We'll talk. Yeah. We don't usually talk about the river that shall not be named.
Right.
But it's okay. It's okay. I'll allow it. I prefer not. I pretend that Brad's books are not published by them. Because, and here's the thing. I think I'll touch on that a little bit. It's because I feel like so many authors, they're so quick to drop their links to Amazon versus support a local bookstore. And I understand that in a sense because it seems accessible. But in days where small bookstores, any small bookstore has a website that you can go to and order that book from them.
Yeah.
You know, Brad and I have a great relationship outside of it because I know he does send people to my store. He does, and that's why we talked about this. We have a sale. Like, yes, I'm doing things like having signed copies. That's something that Amazon's not going to do. And I'm also, we plan events, so we do signings and things like that. Amazon's not going to do that for you. So I have
I know it may have seemed like a bit of a shtick, when I was selling 5 stars, but like when I actually, like the trajectory with the Baltimore Sun to Patch to 5 stars kind of, and then it was banking in the middle there. But like, I really did, honestly, take that job for 5 stars because I wanted to support local. Because it was like, I literally could have done anything. I could have just stayed at the bank and made probably comparable money. But it was just like, no, I want to see if I can actually do something. And then I realized, like, I had to sell this idea too. So that's why I came to you with the books first. I'd rather people buy them from you first. And then, like, I know people have got gift cards. I know people feel more comfortable sometimes buying it from, Amazon because they have accounts set up or whatever. But, if you're watching this now, definitely support your independent bookstores.
And I will say, and I've changed a little bit in my phrasing because I used to say shop local. And in this case, I'm saying shop indie because I'm online now. I'm not a brick and mortar anymore, but I'm still local to Maryland. And even if I'm not, I want to work with everyone and promote small people who are working really hard. I don't want to support Jeff Bezos anymore. He's got too much money. I don't care about going to the moon, bro. Anyways, that's totally besides the point. That's my own feeling. So, yeah, so we can definitely work on that. John, just send me an email. Like I said, it's on the website.
Hi, Sandy.
Yes, hello. I love it. I love how many people I can see actually that a lot of people are coming from YouTube. And I really appreciate that. Yeah, almost everybody's watching, it looks like, from YouTube, and I really appreciate that because I'm trying to work on building the YouTube channel and putting more of the videos on there versus Facebook because, and this kind of goes to talking about accessibility. I understand Facebook's not the most accessible for everybody. Yes, we hear you. Thank you. My manager's barking at me. I understand that Amazon is accessible for a lot of people. And I know that, like, there's in COVID times, people have really used that for accessibility and delivering for who might be handicapped, who don't want to go out, who don't want to, but I love that there's so many other communities who are finding ways to support local, whether it be having neighbors deliver groceries or neighbors shop for you. So that's a great way to do it. So
I made a post about this recently, and again, as we were talking about, you really can't say anything, but the quality of food at these local restaurants, some of the other chains, it's not even on the same spectrum, and yet the prices are literally the exact same. So you can go to McGurk's, plug McGurk's, and you get like a shrimp salad sandwich, and it's like $13. Well, the shrimp salad sandwich, which is going to be less quality at TGI Fridays, is $13. So why wouldn't you just go to the place that's going to have the best food and the same prices? So yeah.
It's interesting too because I know it's funny. I'm actually not sure if he's the owner or the manager. I realize I mixed that up of McGurk's, but and I see him around town. So I get to see him I see him a lot at Newberry and Love Evolution. He does yoga next door. Well, at the place that was next door to the bookstore. So I see him. He's an owner. He's in my neighborhood. I see him with his kid enjoying a donut on Saturday morning. Like, that's somebody who I know that my purchase is helping. I also know that McGurk's is, if my kid's soccer team needs a sponsor, I can go to him and be like, hey, or his kid needs a sponsor. His kid's team needs a sponsor kind of thing. He can come to me as a local business owner and know that I'm going to support him because we're neighbors. And again, I go back to my whole, like, let's be neighbors, Mr. Rogers thing. And it's one of those think globally, act locally kind of situation. Yeah. It also means I'm just being an enviro nerd here, totally off topic, I'm sorry, but talking about how far things need to be delivered and how much shipping is going into things. Like, am I driving it all over the place? Which I know sounds contradictory because I am now shipping things, but from the bookstore. But I'm also trying to support the postal system. So yeah, it's definitely about, that's why I appreciate you, because again, you're a local author who has really, I want to say, you have global influence. You have people all over the place who are helping me, supporting my bookstore, buying your books. And I've always loved working with you. So I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have an event soon. I'm still I'm in the middle of like moving myself personally, so that's that's a little bit crazy, but also COVID. So maybe in the spring we'll do a big like book 3 launch, relaunch, not relaunch, but like
Yeah, I
we'll do
mean,
a live signing.
it's really killing me because some of my favorite places like Readings of Readings is gone. You are gone. Ukazu moved, but it's in this like kind of it's kind of a tough location. It's not the kind of place that's going to get a lot of walk-in traffic, which you need for like a book signing type event. I'll probably still try, and it's a shame. Like just seeing all the different businesses on Main Street Bel Air, like basically having to shutter their doors. I don't know if it's all COVID related or not, but the landscape there in 2018 is nothing like it is now in 2020. I mean, you're gone, Tiny Toes is gone, Urban Pearl's gone, Smiles and Shines is gone, Velvet Trunk's gone. It's heartbreaking.
Julie Ellen's gone. The other one is like Pink Silhouette and Be Fabulous. They're online. Sorry, she's being grumpy. So this is Marigold, the manager.
Hi, Marigold.
So they're online only as well, as far as I know. I don't think they're doing any in person because, and I know that's COVID related, but so many people. I mean, there are a lot of great stores left there, and I've loved seeing how some of them have grown and how some of them have changed. Not just, I don't mean adapted from COVID, but like, for example, Sunny Day changed. I'm a little bit sad. I feel like the crepes are not shown as much, but
we eat there every Saturday.
Oh my gosh. I love their new menu. It's gorgeous. But again, I mean, I do miss people. So it is kind of destroying. Yes. Adam's right. It's destroying small businesses in PA. And that's why it's important to find ways to support them, find gifts.
To tie this into, I would like to tie this whole thing into the book, because it's not just small businesses. It's also destroying a lot of people. A lot of people are struggling right now. Nobody's really talking about it. But there's a lot of people that are hurting and they don't know how to direct it. I was kind of mentally sinking before I wrote this book, and this book gave me the opportunity to basically distract myself for almost 2 hours every single day for 3 months. And that really was the art therapy I'm talking about. But there's a lot of people that are really, really just reach out to them. You know, it's not just destroying businesses.
That is such a great, important thing, and I'm so glad you brought it up, is just checking on your neighbors. And by that I mean literal neighbors, but also your friends who you haven't heard from in a while. Even if you hear from them every day, just send them an email, send them a card. I love sending cards. I've sent so many lately. Just something to surprise them and remind them that there's somebody thinking about them, because you never know who's going through something. So it's definitely a great thing, and I love that you said that. So
yeah, it's 100% true. Before we get off this thing, just remind me, because there is a drawing.
Oh yeah.
So for the free book, we don't have to do it just yet, but just so you know.
Spiritually deprived. There's a bunch of places that are suffering. Spiritually deprived, not religion per se, but physiologically. Physiologically, I like cards, maybe handwritten notes. I mean, anything. It doesn't have to be anything big or cost that much or anything like that. Postcard stamps are really cheap. They're cheaper than regular stamps. I don't remember how much they are, but I think they're like 32 cents compared to like 55 cents or whatever.
I mean, if the bulk of your communication with people at this point is strictly social media, I mean, you're missing so much. With it. I know it's hurting people, but Kendi or Kendra, she doesn't just send letters, which she likes. She actually paints things. This is a painting she did. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that keeps you going, you know?
Yes. Anything that, and it's interesting too, because I think sometimes writing those things is not just helpful for other people, but you realize when you start doing it how helpful it is for you as well, and that helps you kind of stay connected in a different way. So you can do the drawing. I feel like I had another question, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. So
yeah, and if you guys have questions too, because that's why we're here. We're just here to have a good time. And
actually, here, let me, if anybody has any questions, don't forget to leave those. I mean, you guys have all been pretty participatory at this point. So I appreciate that. You get extra gold stars. What do you have anything non-children of the program related, either musically or maybe other writing things that are not related to children of the program?
Not literary, no. There's obviously the music is, that's the big passion. I just did an interview last Sunday with the guys from Weatherly. They do the Weatherly broadcast, which is kind of like a local music podcast. And, it occurred to me at that point that like there's about 20 or 21 albums and EPs since '96 with these different projects and everything. So the music has still always been the forefront, but this is kind of like I can't get to the studio enough, so writing books and being a journalism major, it helps me scratch that itch. I love to write. Sometimes I get myself into trouble because I'm not thinking of every angle of everything that I'm saying, but I do post a lot, obviously. So anyway.
And then my other question, I'll wait for after the drawing to ask my question. Go ahead and do your drawing.
Do the drawing now?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, some of you guys already have the book, so or have a book coming at some point, but I'll go through this and then I'll announce it on my Facebook wall. And let's see who we got here. We've got Derek Credito. I'm including 21 names because there's actually more than that. I'm probably going to leave Derek Credito out of this, actually, now that I say it, because he has the book. He was one of those people that was lucky to get it beforehand for whatever reason. So Kevin Hawk, Justin Vest, Melissa Ringstead, there for you editing. Shout out to her. Jess Myers, Reg Boos. I know I said that wrong. Adam Closser, who's here tonight. We got James Skitchy Zimmers. It's a fun name. Sharon Crystal. Let's see here. Harry Carpenter. Where the hell's Harry Carpenter?
That's a good point. So I'll wait till the end. You go ahead.
Right.
Keep the names, so we'll talk about them.
Lisa Vogel Penix.
Oh, you know what? Laura's not here either. Oh wait, she was. She came in early.
She did. She probably she was walked into the ocean. We were talking too much. Christopher Mooningham, which was the Weatherly guy from the Weatherly podcast. Dean Morrison, Jen Convert, Tim Geddes. Try to move this along here. Melissa Tilley, Elizabeth Marion, Kyle Hash, Laura Pengrads, Rachel Rother, and Davey Hanslacker. Is Davey here?
You know what? He's another one who did not join us tonight. He was a regular on our, just so everybody knows why we're talking about all these people. He was a regular on our Drinking with Authors, which you can find on our YouTube channel, which most of you are watching from, it looks like. So our YouTube Capricos Books channel was the Drinking for Authors series that Brad inspired. And he is, he was a regular. So, but yeah, he's not here.
All right. Here we go. Eyes closed. I just pulled two names out. So, all right, got one here. Christopher Mooningham from the Weatherly podcast. Adam, sorry, bud, but we'll do probably another drawing in a week or two. But Christopher Mooningham, congratulations. You're not at the moment, I don't think, but I will let you know, and we'll get you that third book. And he's got both the first two as well, so he'll be happy to get that.
So Adam asked, thank you for emailing me, John. Adam just asked, would you ever do a collab with another writer?
I would do that. That was kind of in the line of thinking of licensing out the actual name to people. You know, obviously there has to be some type of an investment, and but I've thought about, like, because I've done bands my whole life, what would it be to create a band of writers to continue the series? Maybe two other guys or gals that would like to further this thing. I think that bouncing ideas off these different people would be a really exciting way to do it and take some of the pressure off, because I mean, writing a novel is a lot of work. You know, I think I've kind of forgotten that now because it's been like 3 books now. But I remember, like, with the first book, I felt like if I could just string together 80,000 words and have what would be a novel, I'd be like happy. But it's a lot of work, and I think that it could be a collaborative thing. It could be fun. So yes.
And I know it's interesting. So we mentioned Harry, so I'll just say really briefly that Harry is somebody who we were doing our first Drinking with Authors. He was on here and he was commenting. He's another local author. He is based out of Glen Burnie, Maryland, and he wrote, I want to say he's got 5 or 6 books, but his are all over the place in genre.
Yeah.
He's got a bunch of just all different kinds of things, and so he ended up joining us for the second and then subsequent Drinking with Authors. So, oh, sorry, Kendra asked this earlier, and I wanted to address it, but I was going to wait. Invoice payment. So, if you are on the Capricorn Books website and it says invoice payment, and that's what you pick, I will email you an invoice when I get to your order when I'm processing it. So a lot of these, and I've said several times, I've called this really a pre-order because I'm waiting for Brad to actually physically get the books and then sign them before I can send them. So I'm waiting a little bit to send invoices. I'll probably send yours out soon, Kendra. My plan is to work on that this weekend too. But as I said earlier, I'm physically moving my family. We moved the bookstore into the garage, but we're physically moving my family to this house next weekend. So I'm trying to paint. So that's a personal thing. So I'm trying, but I'm also trying to handle all the orders. So the third book is kind of a pre-order, like we've called it, because it hasn't been. Do we want to say like your official release date should be 11/11? You know that, right?
Well, I mean, that would definitely be one way to do it. That's if I can like temper my excitement.
Yes. So
Probably right. And
but I will. I'll email you an invoice. It comes from our QuickBooks system, and I offer that QuickBooks that invoice option just for people who don't have like PayPal.
Adam, if you're looking to order it, you would just go to Capricorn Books. There's a I guess a better link that takes you right to Children of the Program, but she's got it in the top banner area, so you can kind of scroll through the banners until you find it and click on it.
Yep. I tried to make it easy. It's under local authors, or it should also be under local authors and pre-order. And I think I put it under science fiction as well. Trying to keep it easy to find, though, again, talking about genres. But my last question is a question I ask you all the time, and I already know the answer. So I'm sorry. What are you currently reading? Are you going to surprise me?
No, I'm not really reading anything, to be honest, at the moment.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so I guess I spent so much time writing and kind of in that headspace that I haven't really settled into a new book yet. I really like autobiographies, so that'll probably be something like in that vein next, but nothing at the moment.
Good night, Adam, since he's leaving.
Good night, Adam. Have a good one, buddy.
We'll wrap this up soon. So it's interesting. I will totally come back to that and say it's funny because I feel like you never tell me what you're reading.
I mean, aside from the cat connoisseur.
But I appreciate that you are always I feel like in a way that means that you're not heavily influenced by whatever you're reading at that time. So right. That's like I feel like so many other people give me something and then I'm like, oh yeah, I could kind of see that. But something that I will say that I feel like you would appreciate is I just started reading Chuck Palahniuk's Consider This, and I think that you would really appreciate that book. It's do you know Chuck Palahniuk?
I do not.
He wrote Fight Club, so that's what he is like he's most known for, but he writes a lot of things that are all over the place and they're different genres, but they're all very weird. Again, I would call them, they're very hard to place in a genre. They should be sci-fi, I guess, but again, you wouldn't necessarily think of them general fiction, I guess. But right. He has a nonfiction book that's all about writing, and I feel like I just started it recently, and it just, I don't know. I think you will love it. So I will try to see if I can get you a copy because I think it's going to be, it's going to change your way of thinking about writing. And I think you'll like it a lot. So cool. I recommend read it. Again, it breaks down his style of writing and talking about workshops. He talks a lot about workshops that he's attended, and what he got out of them and what he didn't get out of them. So, Yeah, I can see that being a great book for you. So I will definitely see if I can get you a copy. And yeah, so
So
go ahead.
I was gonna say, for anybody else that's on here, do you guys have any other questions, or we're ready to dust this off and get back to Sunday night?
Yeah.
I appreciate you all stopping by as well.
Yes, and thank you everybody for contributing questions and hanging out with us tonight for sure. See if anybody has anything else to say. Give it a minute. My dog has destroyed her bed. This is what she does when I should have given her a bone and I forgot, but I was doing an event on Friday night, and I gave her a bone and she was very noisily chewing it. So I decided not to do that tonight, and instead she's destroyed her bed. How are your pets?
They're good. Actually, I'm surprised Biggie's not down here with me because he's like my little sidecar. He's always right there next to me. And as a matter of fact, I will give a little something away in the third book, and that is that because we were making this joke that he's like attached to my hip, I was like, you know what? Like kind of as a nod to him, I have a chapter where my character gets a ride with a guy that has a sidecar, like a motorcycle.
Yes. Oh, that's so cute.
That was for Biggie, and I also wrote Wilford Brimley into the book.
Oh, nice.
Yes, he's in there.
Did he give you diabetes?
No, he did not.
Lisa says he's with her. Yeah, Marigold is I call her a Velcro dog because she is stuck to my side.
Well, it looks like everybody's heading out, so
yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to doing more events with you again. I will try to plan. I will say we are doing a live event Friday night. We're doing a signing with Becky Titleman.
Oh, cool.
So we are doing that at the Hartford Artist Gallery. It's a I would call it a young adult / children's event though. So that's why I didn't talk about it too much, but that is live. So I will be in Bel Air at the Hartford Artist Gallery on Friday night. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I will probably see you then. And if anybody else has any questions, I will pass those on to you after we leave. Or if anyone's rewatching this and wants to leave a question, it comes up regularly. So I'll get a notification and I will let Brad know and we will answer that maybe another time. Maybe we'll do Drinks with Authors again next month. Maybe we'll do like a monthly one.
Oh, that'd be cool.
You know what? See,
those completely dovetail into everything.
Yeah. That's true. They're never really. I mean, it literally is just Drinks with Authors at a certain point because it's not always about writing either. But
so I have total sidebar. I haven't drank in 3.5 months or 3 months. So I've found like all the best non-alcoholic beers you can possibly find. As lame as that may sound, actually, there's some really good ones out there. And I'm basically doing it because, it started with high blood pressure. But then I know that like my tendency will be in this situation to just want to drink more and more and more because there's nothing to do. I'm just trying to be good.
I remember our first Drinks with Authors went for like a good long time. And I remember about what happened after that. So yeah, I won't get into that. But yeah, go back and watch those if you want to see. But that was a really long video. I don't even know if I actually posted the first one.
2.5 hours.
So long. But I will say, yeah, I've enjoyed locally I found a new meadery, so I've been drinking mead a lot, which is much more mild, but my husband has found he likes to buy stuff on Facebook. He's heavily influenced by Facebook ads. So he found a place that makes non-alcoholic beer. So I'll have to tell him to share that with you in case it's something that you haven't had yet.
Yeah, I mean, we have ones that literally taste like a hoppy beer. They taste identical. You would never know the difference. And obviously, you have like 2 or 3 of them, and you feel like there's a placebo effect. Your mind thinks that you're actually drinking, so you start relaxing, but you have no hangover, none of that stuff. So it's great.
Good.
Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you again so much. Have a wonderful evening. And you know what? Maybe we'll have John on here sometime too, since he said he's an author. So we'll talk about that. We'll have to get some different authors. We'll mix it up.
Yeah.
Have Heather back on here too. That'd be fun. All right. See you guys later. Have a great night.
Yeah. See you, John.
Bye.